Very, very, very proud to welcome in Publio Casillas to the Community Pay It Forward uh, Giving Partners. He is a brand new gold partner. We are thrilled to bring him in. He's got two programs he's working on, Zafeiri and Davey, and we're going to be talking a little bit about all this. This is huge training, trying to get businesses up off the ground. And other than that, you don't do much. You're a veteran. Not a whole lot to talk about, is there?
Oh, I do so much.
Yeah. What is? Tell me,
Mhm.
Publio, what are some of the mistakes that you see when somebody's going to start a business? What
Well,
is like the main mistake that you see?
I think one of the main mistakes is not having a clear vision and not having a plan. Sometimes jumping in head first, you're going to find out there's no water. You know,
Yeah.
weird
Yeah.
little analogy, but that's what the biggest initial thing. The second thing is not having a long term plan or strategic plan in order to continue being profitable. And I apologize for the music in the background. I got a clock that chimes every so often. Um, but it's really important to people. They need to think about this stuff and plan it. Business plan is very important. Um, really, you shouldn't start without one. Uh, and that's those are really the most important things and that people miss, I think.
And you've got in your training,
Yes,
there
sir.
are three aspects that you really focus on. You want to talk about those?
Yes. The main things that I'm concerned about right now really is leadership development. A lot of people they they don't understand leadership. They think that like you got to go to school to be a scientist, but you don't got to you just kind of naturally become a leader. That's not true. People that we consider natural leaders are usually just charismatic people that have a tendency to have people follow them. But there's a lot of skills involved with being a leader. A leader, you have to be dynamic. You have to have vision. You have to have some sort of accountability, responsibility to the people you're leading. And you have to have a purpose. And a lot of people don't understand that. They think that I see this in a lot of businesses, and this has been a bane of mine in my career outside of the military. Is that you have these companies that are very smart people, scientists or doctors, or whatever, and they promote these people to management roles that are from tech roles, and they completely fail. And it's not because they're not trying, they're not motivated, they're not committed, but it's because they don't have any idea what they're doing. I mean, they can put together a widget like nobody's business, but when it comes to motivating people, supervising people, evaluating people, um, they don't know. And the managers or the upper managers get frustrated with them because these people get frustrated, start flailing, and then they eventually fire them or something. In the military, if you remember correctly, but you remember we went through PME. When you were when I was an airman, they were ready to start supervising people. I went to ALS. It wasn't great, but at least pointed me in that direction. And then, as you become a junior NCO or mid-range NCO, you go to NCO Academy. And then you go to senior NCO Academy. And these things are designed to prep you for that part of the job. And golly, I've seen so many great people leave positions because they're just absolutely frustrated. They don't know what they're doing. Or worse, they're under somebody who doesn't have any of that ability and creates all kinds of frustration and struggles. And it's disheartening to me. So that's what I want to teach. One of the things about is leadership. I want to teach that. Um, Another important part is customer service. It's funny. People talk about these things, leadership, customer service, um, but they don't really know what they're talking about. I mean, being customer centric, I think, is a better word. Is it when you're talking to your customers, you should have a clear idea of what you want them to glean from or to learn from what you're giving them. There's an expectation they have of what your service or product will be, and our responsibility one is to make sure we manage that expectation so that it's not something we can't deliver, and so then they understand, and two, that they get what they're asking for. I see a lot of times people they have an incorrect expectation of what the service or product will be, and then they're mad, but nobody stopped and said, "Hey, look, this is what I'm going to give you. this or this, if this is what you need to go elsewhere. But also take care of that person. Say, if I got your product for you, you help them out. And it's customers are just like employees, which is kind of weird, but you have to manage their expectations and make sure
Yeah.
that they're taken care of. And the third part is, of course, employee engagement. And I'm just touching on these. I'm not really going too deep, but employee engagement is very important. An aspect of leadership that people forget is followership. And, that's not a very common phrase. We learned in the military. They taught you, followership is important. So what you see is you have a lot of people that are employees. They don't know how to be led. They don't know what's expected. And what's worse is these leaders that don't know what they're doing don't put out clear expectations, and then are upset when the employees don't provide or produce what they want. And nobody's happy because nobody met expectations one way or the other. And it's just, there's so much value that can be put into leadership, your customers, and your employees to make not only it efficient, but have everybody having a good time. I mean, when you communicate with somebody and you understand, it's a great moment. When you don't understand, when you get frustrated, when you love to be happy all day.
Yeah. Yeah, that would definitely be nice. I want to ask you a question, because something that we were taught as a, from the very beginning of our work career, is that the customer is always right. That's not true. It's not true. But the customer should always have the right to know what they want. And you need to make sure that they understand that, you can help guide them to get to what they want.
Yeah.
And is that, and I know that every customer in the world just sat there and kind of cringed when I said that. Like, wait a minute. but I mean, a customer can't come to you, or if a customer comes to you and they're expecting something that you can't provide, then it doesn't do them any good, right?
That's exactly right. And part of that's the provider's fault. We need to make sure that the expectations are clear. Good example. This is a kind of a weird example, but it happened when I was working in plasma. Is that in a plasma donation center, people come in, they have to be a certain level of health or healthiness to be able to donate plasma, right? A lot of people don't understand that concept is not a charity. It's actually business. You know what I'm saying? So people will come in and expect a certain amount of money, which we will broadcast. But I had one young lady that came in one time when I was working in Mississippi. Very nice young lady, very in trouble, needed some help, and she wanted to donate. And when we went through the screening process, we found out she was pregnant. She couldn't donate, because it's, of course, unhealthy for her, unhealthy for the baby. And she was in tears, and she wanted to speak to the manager, who was me. And I came out there, and she was begging me to let her donate. And what the expectation to understand was, I can't, and I wouldn't, because it would actually put her in harm's way. But that doesn't mean that my commitment to the customer ends there. So what we did is, I got together with my head nurse and my security guard, and we found out that she was homeless. We contacted the women's shelter. We got her some food. I mean, that's customer service. She wasn't, you know what I'm saying? And it wasn't me only. I mean, my nurse was very helpful. My security guard went way out over the top for this poor young lady, and we took care of her because she's still our customer. Customer doesn't necessarily mean there's money changing hands. It means it's someone that we are taking care of.
See, that right there, to me, being in the business that we are in together now, that's a beautiful thing, because you know what? Everybody comes to you for a reason.
Yeah.
We can't help everyone with what they're asking. We can always help people. We can always help people. If you delve a little bit deeper into it, I think that which is exactly what you and your cohorts did there. And that's a wonderful, wonderful story, because you were able to do more for that young lady than what she was even looking for. And that's a beautiful thing. So
well, it wasn't what she was looking for, but it was actually, she didn't know really what she needed, Right.
She didn't know what all was available. So education is always something great. That is so awesome.
Yeah. I wish I knew what happened to her in the long run, because I mean, you get tied up with so many people and stuff. But I always, in the back of my head, I wonder how she fared.
Now, you were in the Air Force, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about your service. What are some of the things that you learned from your time in the service that you carry on today?
Actually, one of the things that I learned from the service that at first I thought was kind of silly, and then it kind of became ingrained in me when I started teaching at Keesler, was the core values. At first I thought they were just lip service. They say, service, integrity, and excellence. I was like, yeah, whatever.
Mm.
But it wasn't until I started teaching and I started realizing that these words have real meaning. I used to teach my students that I'd go in there and talk about when I was the NCOSC, the schoolhouse. I love going to classroom and talk to kids. It's just the I like to do. Anyway, I would tell them, I said, the core values are important because it's what we aspire to be. So I was telling them, let's look at it this way. If you are going to date somebody, would you want somebody that doesn't do things the best they can? I'm saying is like, if I was dating somebody and they wanted, I don't know, make dinner or wanted to mow the yard, whatever, and they half-assed it. Pardon my French. I mean, would you put up with that? Or if they did everything that was self-serving, I mean, that would get old quick. Or if they lied to you all the time, I mean, who would want that around you?
Right.
So when you look at those values and you say, well, you know what? If I want those values from somebody else, I should be giving those values also. And once you do that, then everybody's absorbing the core values and they're actually doing a better service to themselves and the society as a whole. The military was very good for me, I will say. And it's not that I was like gung ho or, when I joined it was kind of more of a rebellion for my family. And I wasn't a, tough guy. I was a musician, I was a ladies' man at the time. You can't tell how much I've aged, but I was the dude. Anyway, it taught me a lot of things. It taught me structure, it taught me responsibility, it taught me accountability. One of the funniest things about being in the private sector, I think, is that accountability is not there. And I have no problem if I make a mistake saying, oh Lord, I made a mistake. I'll admit it and I'll try to fix it. And that blows the mind out of people who are in the private sector. They just can't accept it. It's funny to watch. I get some funny stories about it, but I won't go into all of them.
Well, let me ask you this, and I love that you brought that up. I think a lot of times when you go into a company, they try to teach you about accountability and everything else. But I think the mistake that they make is that they try to push that accountability to where you're trying to represent them. We need to represent you. We need you to represent yourself. Mm-hmm. We need you to prove who you are. That's the best way that we as business owners and business coaches, that's the best way to represent my company is you represent yourself in a great way. You need to take that accountability and show who you are, not who I am. It's my responsibility to show people who my company is. I need people to understand who you are and represent who you are, right?
Oh yeah. Well, part of the problem too is that that was another part of this whole thing is that hiring processes are terrible. I mean, you should be hiring people that instill the values that you value. You know what I'm saying? So if you do that, you don't have that problem you're talking about. You're not worried about the person expressing their own values that are wrong. Their values should at least parallel, if not mirror yours. I mean, I've seen that too, where people's values are out of whack, or they don't understand the values of the company, and in that confusion too, you have people make very weird decisions that cause big mistakes. Because I mean, when you talk about a company or a business or even a team, the leader or the owner or whatever the top person is supposed to set that, not only the strategy and the direction, but the values you're going to work inside of for that direction, So if I'm doing something and my boss has clearly said the values that we will remain ethical and within the law. So when I come to a problem that involves that decision making, I'm going to follow that to make that decision. If you don't, or if anything goes, then you're going to be like, well, I could do this quicker if it's illegally. You know what I'm saying? You see how the values make sense? I may be getting confusing, but it's important.
Yeah, well, no, actually, and this is that actually really leads me to something. Another question.
Mm-hmm.
You can't really teach values. Someone's got a
Yes.
value.
Right.
If they don't value the same thing that you're looking for, you can't really teach them that value. They have
Well,
to have that value, don't they?
yes and no. I mean, the values that we're talking about, we assume that people learn them from their parents. You know, your parents say, don't steal, don't, I don't know, hurt anybody, don't punch a kid in the face, whatever. But the reality is value itself, the word value, is something that we place value on. So if I tell my employee this is valuable, I'm creating awareness that that's valuable. Like money, for instance. I mean, if you were to give me $1 bill and I didn't know money was, I wouldn't think it was valuable. You know what I'm saying? So that's what's important, is that with everything in life and in business, is that expectations that are clear solve a lot of this. So if you tell your employee who maybe, say that, Snuffy, Private Snuffy, has grown up in backwater, I don't know, Mississippi, where my wife's from, and he doesn't really have much, much value in some things, like that's what basic training was for. It taught us those values. It taught us the value of, shaving. I know we're both of us have all this facial hair, but it taught us the value of shaving. It taught us the value of showering every day. It taught us the value of, brushing our teeth. So then that's why they started the basics of basic training, because they don't know what our values are. So they built us assuming we didn't have any. You know what I'm saying? And then we all look the same. And it's the same concept with business. I mean, if I hire people and I don't evaluate their values, or I don't take in consideration that whether they can be taught values, and I hire them, I deserve whatever chaos comes out of that.
I appreciate that. I really do. I mean, I think it's one of those things that you can train people how to do the job. You can't train people how to love the job, or love their value in the job. You can always tell an employee that they're valuable to you.
Yeah, that's different. Yeah.
But you have to but they have to feel valuable. And the only way to do that is get them in there and actually get them experiencing and have them have that connection with it.
Yeah. See, and it's very complex. You have a very good point. Is that I had a very good assistant manager work with me for a while. Now she's like a regional manager for a company. When we were working together, I asked her one day, I said, what is our job? Yes, ma'am. I said, what is our job? She said, well, our job is to get plasma. I said, no, our job is to manage these people. I said, if plasma came in on a robot and another robot took that plasma out and another robot packed it and shipped it off, we need one guy here as a tech to fix the robots. I said, the problem is people are extremely full of variables. I mean, there's just variable. And they never, unfortunately, do things that are in their best interest all the time, which is part of economics. But the point is that our job is to manage that and to help guide them, especially as leaders. We have to guide them. My job as a manager or as a leader is to facilitate my employees to do their job. If there's an obstacle, I need to find a way to remove it. And that obstacle could be a brick, or it could be a skill or a value or whatever. I have to find a way to put that in there. So my goal is to make their value or their motives parallel to mine or the company's, or at least closely parallel. But I don't want it perpendicular. That's where it all goes south. So it's a challenge. But it's fun.
Yeah,
it really is exciting work, believe it or not.
Well, and I think one of the, this is just a personal opinion, but I think one of the best things about company is when you have individuals who have the same goal.
Yeah.
But it's a goal that they love. It's not a goal that, okay, our goal is to do our job and go home.
Yeah, that's not a goal.
Yeah and no. But our goal is to go to work, be happy, and be fulfilled. I mean, isn't that a better company?
You should leave work having completed something, whether it be something abstract or physical. Feel good about what you did and had positive social interactions all day long. right? Because that's what we did in school. We went out, we hung out with our friends, right? We had to do homework, we had to do schoolwork, but we still hung out with our friends. Just
Right.
nowadays, we also have a product to put out. It should be that same dynamic. If you're going to work and you hate your
Yep.
job because your boss is a jerk or your peers are a jerk or you don't like the work, you have to reevaluate that somewhere. Something's wrong.
Yeah, yeah, very much so. And I believe that I talked to you that I was good at my last job. That didn't mean I liked it,
Yeah,
and
it's
and
true.
and it was detrimental to me. It truly was. Uh, Tell me a little bit about Zafeiri. What is Zafeiri?
Zafeiri is business consulting. Me and actually another veteran, a guy named Eric, real sharp guy. He actually enlisted me into this Zafeiri, and what we're doing is that our job is to go into medium-sized businesses, not necessarily small, for like 100 employees or maybe 1,000 employees that have quite a certain frame of profitability or cash flow, and help them solve these problems on a larger scale. Because what you see in some of these middle-sized businesses is that management and promotions lead to some of these things that we've talked about, where all of a sudden inefficiencies start becoming the norm. And then when that happens, you start losing profits, you start losing cash flow, the culture will crash. And no matter what anybody says, if your employees aren't happy, you're not going to be profitable. I mean, you may skirt by, but I mean, then it starts turning into more like, something like slave labor or whatever. And nobody wants that. Not, I mean,
Yeah,
the reality is we should want that for the managers or for the employees or even for the customers who want something that somebody made begrudgingly. So our job is going in there and we'll analyze everything about the business. We'll look at the financials, forecasts. I mean, it's way more extensive than teaching, hey, culture or that. It goes in there and makes a deep dive analysis. And our goal is to give you an unbiased analysis and the actual things that are going to help fix your business, whether you want to hear them or not. I know it sounds kind of rough, but the reality of it is a lot of times big companies even get stuck in these situations because nobody wants to be honest.
yeah.
And sometimes
Well,
it's little stuff like, the way it is.
yes men have never been valuable. They've
Yeah.
never been valuable. They truly aren't. A yes person is a yes person. That's all they are. You know if you don't have somebody who's going to come up to you and tell you, hey, a problem's a problem, they're not
Yeah.
going to help you. So I love that. Tell me about Davey.
Now Davey's a little different thing. Davey's kind of a funny story. Um, Davey's my little project I'm putting together. It's going to encompass my medical billing stuff and my personal teaching and stuff because Davey's one of my dogs. Uh, he's a Boykin Spaniel, love him to death. He's one of the smartest animals I've ever had in my life. He's like having a little human with me, but he's cute. Um, so he's kind of my mascot with that. But with Davey, what it is it's kind of my business persona for me doing teaching seminars and also my medical billing business. So, but the name comes from me honoring my dog. He's somewhere around here, somewhere. I don't know where he is.
Yeah, mine are over there. They're apparently trying to like put holes through each other's heads or something. I don't know if anybody can hear them, but you just hear
Oh, I
dogs
can't.
or the mouse snapping right now. So, um, one of the things that you're obviously into is animals,
Yes,
and
sir.
one of the missions that you love is a mission called Tired Dog Rescue. Can you tell us about that?
Yes. Tired Dog Rescue's in my resume because it's actually a nonprofit 501c3 out of Mississippi that my ex-wife and I started.
Hmm.
She's still running it. I bowed out when we split up, but I've always been a supporter, and my wife's a supporter too. We love dogs. They do hard work. I know when I was with Tired Dog, I have been in some crazy situations. I've got so many stories. I mean to write a book. I just haven't got around to it. I've been bit hundreds of times. I've seen all kinds of horrible things, but I've also seen some great things. Um, it's just phenomenal. I dogs to me are very important. I find it hard to believe or stunning that people can live without them. We just got a schnauzer recently because my two schnauzers passed away, and it's like heaven on earth. He's such a riot. I
Yeah,
love it.
Yeah. Well, we've got ourselves a little zoo right now, along with our two everyday dogs. We just brought in another dog that we brought in a young man from Utah for a little bit because he was here for about a month and a half last year, and he wanted to come back and visit us, and he brought in his boxer, and it's kind of neat having another dog around, even though another
I know it
dog
could be a
around
handful.
me, it's like, oh great, something else to trip on. So you are still working on getting everything set up, but right now if people want to get a hold of you, the best way to do that is phone.
Yes, sir. Phone and email. I prefer email because that way I have got record of it. Sometimes phone calls, people come in and I got a lot of stuff going on. And I take copious notes. I love notebooks, and I've got tons of notes I keep all the time. But those are the two best ways to get a hold of me. Yes, and then my Zafeiri email for companies that want to get involved with that. We'll fix your problems.
All right. Well, right now we've got you at Publio at ZafeiriCorp.com.
Correct.
So,
Yes,
that's what we're going to be linking you to. And tell me, what are you looking for? What right now, if somebody's sitting there right now, who needs you?
Who needs me?
Yeah.
I would say if you're either running a business or working for a business and you've got a lot of systemic problems that either you can't figure out where they're coming from, or you have an idea, but you either feel, I guess, powerless to fix them, or you're not actually sure what's going on. I mean, some of them are easy or not easy, but small. Like maybe you have a bad employee that's poisoning the whole group and you need some advice. I can help you with that too. I mean, there's a lot of methods and processes to help those employees. And sometimes people are like, just fire them or whatever. But in the past couple of jobs I've had, one of the most valuable things that I've strove for was turning around bad employees. And it's happened multiple times, and it's very, very rewarding. But the thing is that you have to come to these situations with skills. So if you're having these problems, give me a call, shoot me an email. I'd love to help. It's what I like to do. So we'll fix it for you.
Well, and again, it's amazing what a second set of eyes can do from the outside. So let's go on ahead and do this. And once again, Publio is now a gold family member. He is part of the Community Pay It Forward program. And anytime you hire him, a portion of that is going to go to supporting someone else. Your customer gets to choose who you want to support. So hire him.
Nice.
And then we've got people who ask us for help. Portion of that money is going to go to support these great people who just need a helping hand. Publio, brother,
yes,
welcome to the family. I'm
Thank you for having me, Zach.
Honored that you have joined us. The best email to get a hold of you is Publio at ZafeiriCorp.com.
Yes.
All right.
My alternate email is CasillasPublio@yahoo.com. Yeah.
So there you go. Reach out to either one. You're going to be able to find it on his landing page on communitypayitforward.us. We'll be sharing that out, and you can find out more information about this wonderful man. Again, welcome to the family. We're very honored that you've come with us. Let's get together and let's do some great things, huh?
Yes, sir.
All right. Hey guys, we'll be right back.